Last class, we have discussed already about the romantic comedy, A Midsummer Night Dream, its past performance, and about the condition and reading of the play, and the background of romantic comedy. Today, we will see the background, possibility, and practicability of the characters in A Midsummer Night Dream. A Midsummer Night's Dream is a strange and beautiful web woven directly by a youthful poet's fancy. What is perhaps most remarkable about the play is the harmonious blending in it of widely different elements. It is as if the threads of silken splendor were run together in its texture with a yarn of hempen. That means the thread of a fibrous plant, homespun, and both these with lines of dewy gossamer and filaments drawn from the moonbeams. The particular allegory is perhaps told regarding Shakespeare's creations as if they are the background of some pastoral land. And now we will go to the characters. In North's Plutarch, Plutarch, North's North apostrophe, North's Plutarch, or in Chaucer's Knight's Tale, Shakespeare may have found the figures of Theseus and the Amazonian bride. From Chaucer also, Chaucer's Wife of Bath's Tale, may have come the figure of Elf Queen, though the name in Chaucer's work was not Titania. And the story of Pyramus and Thisbe might have come from Chaucer's Legend of Good Women. This last, however, was perhaps taken from Golding's translation of Ovid's Metamorphoses. Oberon the Fairy King had recently appeared in Green's play, The Scottish History of James IV. Puck, under his name of Robin Goodfellow, is a roguish sprite or spirit well known in English fairy lore. The incident of magic effect used by Shakespeare as the magic effect of flower juice laid upon the sleeping lover's eyelids may have taken from Montemayer's Diana, Diana, from Greek literature. which is also used by Shakespeare in his Two Gentlemen of Verona. The marriage of the Duke Theseus and the Amazonian queen Hippolyta, who are classical in name only, being in reality the romantic medieval aristocratic figures, surrounds the whole as it were with a magnificent flame. The frame made by Shakespeare to present the characters, royal characters, as a symbol of medieval aristocrat. Theseus is Shakespeare's early ideal of a heroic warrior and a man of action, a representative of Athenian aristocrats. His life is one of splendid achievement and joy. His love is a kind of happy victory. His marriage, a triumph. Theseus displays his joyous energy and the graciousness of his power in contrast with him and his warrior bride. The figures of the young lovers
Good morning, sir.
look. Yes, very good morning.
Sir, which chapter is going now?
We are going through the backgrounds, possibility, and practicability of the characters in a Midsummer Night's Dream of Shakespeare.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Theseus, the royal or the aristocratic character, displays his joyous energy and the graciousness of power. In contrast with him and his warrior bride, Hippolyta, the figures of the young lovers look slight and graceful, and their love perplexities and errors are seen to be among the minor and remediable afflictions of the world. The distress, the suffering they go through in their life. To see the characters in the whole play, one must have to go to the characters of Athenian aristocrats. Now we will see who the Athenian aristocrats were. What was their nature and character? The stage representations of the opening scene influences all the characters and their activities in the rest of the play. Especially the chorus, the poetry used by Shakespeare in the beginning of his romantic comedy, A Midsummer Night's Dream, shows us how the play is woven. The play is pictured, or the play is designed. A Midsummer Night's Dream starts and practically ends with the aristocrats, with the presence of the aristocrats and their major activities, especially with the aristocrats of Athens. Exactly, it starts with the character of Theseus, the Duke of Athens, the relationship of Theseus with the Queen of Amazons, Hippolyta, is reflected in the relationship of other lovers, pairs of lovers in the play. Apart from the character of Theseus and Hippolyta, there are also three pairs of lovers we find: two mortal characters Two pairs are examples of mortal characters and one of fairyland or immortal character. As a while, Theseus represents authority, especially patriarchal authority. When we find the character Hippolyta, the queen of Amazons, have come from a female-dominated country or land with matriarchal authority. Two opposite characters we find in the beginning of the play. When Hippolyta is defeated by Theseus in a battle, and was taken away by Theseus to marry her, in which we find Hippolyta is not happy. As a whole, Theseus represents authority, and here it is the matter of discussion that the opening scene has two episodes. Theseus' announcement of his incoming marriage to Hippolyta, the queen of Amazons, a land of all female community where there is matriarchal authority. And the other episode is Aegeus, father of Hermia, who demands the activation of the Athenian law that according to his will, his daughter Hermia should marry Demetrius. But practically, Hermia loves Lysander. The first episode focuses on Theseus' announcement of his marriage to Hippolyta. He has just defeated Hippolyta, the queen of Amazons, in a battle, and this conquest of Theseus of the Amazonian queen is an assertion or declaration of male authority, patriarchal authority. He is now to marry Hippolyta, the defeated queen, with pomp, with triumph, as narrated by Shakespeare in his dialogues. When Theseus is cheerfully excited, Hippolyta is silent. When Theseus calls her my Hippolyta, in return she never calls Theseus my Theseus, which is exhibited in the play. Even until Act 5, she never desires to marry Theseus, or there is no sign of her activity, her wish or desire that she is happy to marry Theseus. When the play is nearly over and harmony has been firmly established, we find all the pairs of lovers are united. On account of 5 different stage versions of this episode, one finds 2 opposing stage versions of the opening scene, which is evident in Hippolyta's silence and the poet's pen, which is narrated in the New Casebook. The New Casebook narrates the first or the opening scene of A Midsummer Night's Dream as Hippolyta's silence and the poet's pen. How Shakespeare portrays the character of Hippolyta and Theseus, and how Hippolyta's silence plays a vital role even till the end of the play. If Hippolyta remains next to Theseus, and smiles through his speeches, then she appears to save his enthusiasm for their impending marriage or waiting for the marriage. Since the play is about love ending in harmonious marriages or the relationships of Theseus and Hippolyta, that in the opening scene becomes the ideal to be learned by other lovers. The audience would have enjoyed and approved this, the most powerful message in Elizabethan romantic comedy, and it was that the social hierarchies or the social system, social order should be maintained. It was considered natural and proper that a woman should subordinate to her husband according to the patriarchal authority and the law of Athens. So, Theseus defeating Hippolyta, first in the battle, and then Theseus' proposal to marry Hippolyta would have seemed proper to Shakespeare's Elizabethan audience. Like that of our, in the case of our Gajapati of Puri, Purushottam Dev, his expedition, Kanchi Abhijan, and defeating the king of Kanchi, he could be able to bring Padmavati. And with the technical version of the minister, how the king used to marry Padmavati during the car festival, when the king was acting as a sweeper with the traditions of the car festival on 3 cars of Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra and Subhadra. And perhaps it was the tradition of the ancient days, like Theseus defeating Hippolyta, the queen of Amazons, in the battle. The opposite interpretation depends on Hippolyta saying grimly, unpleasantly, unhappily, apart from Theseus on the stage. If she does so, then she obviously doesn't share Theseus's enthusiasm for their marriage. Her lack of enthusiasm is also witnessed in the forest scene when they are on a hunt. Theseus wants to show off his hounds or heroic activities, heroism. But Hippolyta says that she has seen Hercules' hounds, implying that Theseus' hunt cannot match with Hercules. Since the Duke and his bride-to-be have a harmonious relationship, it follows that their subjects, the young lovers, will imitate them. Only in this stage supernatural powers like the magic of Oberon, the king of fairies, and his jester Puck is able to bring harmony to Athens, as it does to his own marriage. Also, there is a marriage happened between Oberon and Titania, the king of the fairies and the queen of the fairies.
Excuse
Along
me,
with
sir.
two other. Yes.
Hello. Good morning,
Ah,
sir.
yes.
I'm Minotinath.
Amani.
Can you tell me which phase number is going now? I am unable found to, sir.
The topic. The
Sir,
topic.
what?
The topic we are going on.
Sir, which page number? Page number.
The page number is not there.
Okay. The
Just
topic
I am
is?
teaching you or telling you from your syllabus fixed by IGNOU or British drama,
Okay.
and
Okay,
it
thank
is
you.
Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay, sir.
We are discussing about the characters, background of the characters and their activities, practicability, possibility, and the background of the characters. You have just joined perhaps. Okay. In the second interpretation, we find the character of Oberon as the arbiter, the influential person of marital happiness. Here in the play, one notices Theseus or Oberon is ultimately in charge because both enforce patriarchal order. Which are the example of male-dominated society or family, better we say. Here the character of Oberon is not mortal. He is a fairy, he is a male, and is characterized as by Shakespeare as a representative of aristocrat, like that of Theseus. He wants that the Athenian couple to be happy and instructs Puck to ensure this by pouring magic flower juice into Demetrius' eyes. In order to have his alliance with Helena, who desires to marry Demetrius. But by mistake, Puck applies it in Lysander's eye instead of Demetrius, and pours the magic juice in Lysander's eyes, and he, seeing Helena instead of Hermia, when he awakens, falls in love with her. A mistake was made by Puck, by which Oberon threatens him and also wants to punish Puck. In the meanwhile, Puck, being cautious of his mistake, again pours the magic juice into the Demetrius' eyes, who also sees Helena when he awakens, and all hell breaks loose. Accordingly, the magic is reversed in all, and Demetrius' love of Helena is fulfilled, which was Oberon's intention all along. Next, we will come to the second episode. The second episode of the opening scene, witnesses Theseus's announcement of his marriage and Aegeus demanding the enforcement of Athens' law. As per the law, the daughter is the father's property and she must obey him. As per his will, Hermia must marry Demetrius, failing which she must die, according to the Athenian law. And Theseus must ensure this. It was the expectation of Aegeus, the father of Hermia. But Theseus declares that he cannot break the law, but this much he can do, that if Hermia doesn't marry Demetrius, she must go and join in a nunnery. She will lead a life of nun. He offers Hermia two alternatives, but Aegeus doesn't approve. But there is a strong suggestion that Theseus has invented the nunnery option on the spot, and that the repeated rebellion against the harshest aspects of the law in this play starts with Theseus. It is proved that as if Theseus, the Duke himself, is breaking the law by supporting Hermia. Hermia declares that if she cannot marry Lysander, she will not marry anyone. Aegeus and the law demands Hermia's death, but Theseus encourages life, which justifies the quality and tendency of a romantic comedy. The nature and character of a romantic comedy is not to punish anybody. Rigorous punishment, that is death. It cannot be possible in a romantic comedy, because romantic comedy is based on the theory of romantic love or romantic activities or marriage ceremony, cultural activities, merrymaking, etc. etc. In the latter stage, it is found that Theseus walks out of the room accompanied by everyone except Lysander and Hermia. In a court scene, we find that Lysander and Hermia are left alone. Why this type of scene has been said by Shakespeare? This is the question. Because to develop a romantic situation, in order to take independent decision by the lovers, they are left alone by others, even by the order of the Duke. When they are in a plan to escape to such a place where Athenian law doesn't work. Some critics give their opinion that perhaps Theseus is an absent-minded ruler, or he desires to honor to the true love between Lysander and Hermia, which is justified to be a quality of romantic comedy. He becomes lenient. He becomes loose in exercising the law of Athens. Reluctant to be hard to operate the law of Athens. So with a soft heart, he desires to help the lovers, Lysander and Hermia, and leaves them alone to decide what to do. What type of step they will take when law is against their will. How to escape from the activation of the law, execution of the law. They will seek a path, a way, how to be deprived of the execution of the law. Thus, Theseus allows love to flourish, which is the background of the romantic comedy. Romantic comedy celebrates life, love, and fruitfulness and faithfulness of the lovers. Theseus' response to Aegeus foreshadows the end of the play. The returning from the pastoral land, ends with merrymaking and in a festive celebration with 4 marriages: Theseus and Hippolyta, Lysander and Hermia, Demetrius and Helena, and the fairies, Oberon and Titania, with due honor to Athenian law and as well as the true love of the lovers of Athens. Shakespeare shifts the action of the play to a forest outside Athenian territory where Athenian law doesn't apply. Finally, the focus is now on the lovers rather than the rule of the duke and the law of Athens. Then we will go to the lovers and their place of action, the importance of place. Because Shakespeare's plays are based on 3 characteristics of designed or articulated by Aristotle. That is the unity, 3 unities, the unity of time, place, and action. Now we will come to the place of action. And in the play A Midsummer Night Dream, basically, in case of a romantic comedy, 2 places are chosen. Number 1, the city or the town or a court scene, and another is the pastoral land, a forest or a country or a village. And also in this play, we find Shakespeare choosing 2 places. 2 background of the place, one the court scene, another the forest or the pastoral land. Literature is concerned with love, and a love plays a very important part in some shape or other in every man's life. It is only natural for poets and dramatists to concern themselves with the same emotion. It is told by the critics, the scholars of Shakespeare, that a poet and dramatist, two ways of literature, two branches of literature, poetry and drama. And Shakespeare was a master of both the branches, both the wings of literature, poetry and drama. And with an emotion, he used to produce his poems and create his characters in his drama, in his plays. Throughout his career as a dramatist, Shakespeare was interested in the problems of love. He has experimented the problems of love in his romantic plays. And also in tragedies, we find the touch of love, the problem of love in Shakespearean plays. Various aspects impress different writers that Shakespeare himself, in different plays, concentrates his attention successive phases of feeling, on successive phases of feeling, the feeling of the characters, along with the feelings of the audience. How the acting of the characters and their dialogues and an admixture of poetry or chorus or sonnets. Also touches the feelings of the audience, the English public or Elizabethan people during his time. The love depicts in a comedy is always a roguish merriment of the little god, and Chambers has brought out this element in excellent fashion. Inverted comma begins. You may note it down. The lover is a being of strange caprices. The lover is a being of strange caprices, which means fancy, and strange infidelities, 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 that means unfaithfulness. First of all, he is beyond the control of reason. He is beyond the control of reason and always swayed, S-W-A-Y-E-D, swayed by every gust of passion, G-U-S-T, gust of passion. Stop. He is at odds, O-double-D-S, with the established order of things. Stop. He is a rebel against, the authority of parents. He is a rebel against the authority of parents, a rebel against friendship, a rebel against friendship, a rebel against his own voice, V-O-W-S. Rebel against his own voice. This is the version of Chambers regarding a romantic comedy. The lawlessness and the laughableness of love is the pervading theme of the present play, A Midsummer Night's Dream. This is best illustrated in the story of Athenians lovers and in the story of Titania. Hermia is in love with Lysander and therefore rebels against the authority of her father, who wants her to marry Demetrius. The same sentiment is responsible for both of them violating the law of Athens and running away from the state to a forest away from Athens, where no Athenian law works. The story of Pyramus and Thisbe indicates the tragic possibilities of love, which indicates the disharmonious relationship of Theseus and Hippolyta. The intervention of the fairies and the employment of magic herbs only bring out more emphatically the essential inconsistency of the lovers. Reunite them. Shakespeare has added the employment of magic herbs by the fairies. A Midsummer Night's Dream as a romantic comedy is based on a dramatic sequence in which the dramatic elements seem to present in two sets. There are two sets of lovers, two rulers, and two men who fall in love with the young woman, and also by mistake in the forest we find the disturbances between two pairs of lovers. We find in many cases the appearance of two places, two lovers, two rulers, and the patterns of setting in the play impose order in chaos. They invite disorder. The rigid patterns of A Midsummer Night's Dream control the widely changing relationships between the characters. And that is the technique and the mechanism applied by Shakespeare which is the changing atmosphere, changing relationship, changing intention. That is also another important part of a romantic comedy. If there is no change, there is no sensation. If there is no change, there is no expectation, no feeling, no sensitiveness, no sensation, which makes a play more interesting, more enjoyable, more attractive. And the changing relationship between the characters also play a vital role in a romantic comedy. And also it is reflected on dance. Of course, very few instances of dance we find in Shakespearean plays. Till then also it is reflected on dance. In a sequence of dance, the movements are energetic and constant, but they are controlled by the discipline of dance or the rule and traditional system of dance. As per the method of structuralism, emphasis on the binaries are found in the text of the play. When structural analysis of the play is made, two opposite ideas or images are created in the mind of the readers of the text or the viewers while watching the play. What are those binaries? Binaries mean two opposite activities we find, incidents we find in the play. Among many noticeable binaries or dual activities in A Midsummer Night Dream, there are light and dark, description of day and night. The court scene is exhibited in the day and the forest scene happens in the night. Night means especially moonlit night. The daylight and the moonlight. Humans and fairies, aristocrats and the artisans. Two opposite types of characters we find in the play, the aristocrats and the working class people, artisans. And even the sequence of action in city or court and a country or woods. When one tries to study the sequence of the play as per the traditional sequence of a romantic comedy, here in this play also we find two sequences like the court or city and a pastoral setting or a forest or country. And the sequence again coming back to the city. The court obstructs, or the society or the city or the town obstructs true love, which flowers in a pastoral ambience or atmosphere, that is in a forest or in a village or in a countryside. The impediments of the obstruction to love are meanwhile removed, and the lovers return to a kinder, more human court where weddings, feasts and dances symbolizing harmony conclude the action of the play. While going through the sequence, the reader of the text or the viewer of the play find a selected binary. The sequence of the city of Athens and the sequence of the forest pastoral area are represented by two columns, prove the binary tradition of a romantic comedy. Two opposite characters, situations, and also opposite feeling, opposite thought, we find also in a tradition of romantic comedy. This binary fits in with generic criticism. Some characters appear in the court but not in the forest. Others appear in the forest and not found in the court. While some characters present in both the situations, in both the scenarios, connecting the court and the pasture to bring a solution or bring a balance at the end. This proves that any stage production would use a structural analysis to emphasize relationships between the setting and the characters. Thus, according to any other binary classification, A Midsummer Night's Dream is capable of enlisting its dramatic elements. The play can be divided according to its poetry and prose, according to its chorus and dialogues, quarrel and dances, quarrel and understanding, which proves Shakespeare's skill in organizing his dramatic material. Now we will go to the fairies, the dreams, and the women in the Midsummer Night Dream. Which is the unit 3. The activities of the fairies and the importance on the dreams and the place of women in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Sir William Shakespeare, in order to make his early romantic comedy more romantic, has added some extra qualities as per the medieval trend. Introduction of fairy characters, implementation of dreamy atmosphere, and presentation of different women characters, mortal and immortal, human beings and fairies, are the chief elements of Shakespeare's early romantic comedy. And especially the romantic comedy A Midsummer Night's Dream. The notion of fairy or elf, the notion of fairy or elf monarchs may be traced in English poetry as far back as Chaucer. He is the first man to bring the notion of fairies into literature.
Sir, fairies means?
Fairy, F-A-I-R-Y. Fairies means supernatural
Oh, okay.
Elements,
Okay, sir.
supernatural elements with good nature,
Okay, sir.
not the evil spirits, but good spirits.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And in the play we find Oberon and Titania, Puck, these fairy characters. And this notion of fairy characters first brought by Chaucer in order to enter into English literature. His wife of Bath's Tale of Chaucer is a shining example of entertaining fairy characters. The Merchant's Tale, which introduces Pluto, that is the king of fairy. In the Chaucerian English, you can keep it with an inverted comma, Pluto, Pluto, comma, that is the king, K-Y-N-G, king of fairy, F-A-Y-E-R-Y-E. The king, K-Y-N-G, of fairy, F-A-Y-E-R-Y-E. That is Chaucerian English. And a lady in his campaign, flowing his wife, inverted comma, you can write in within inverted comma, flowing F-L-W, F-O-L-W, following, F-O-L-W-Y-N-G, following his, H-Y-S, wife, W-I-F, inverted comma, comma, the Queen Respina, following his wife, comma, the Queen, Q-U-E-E-N-E. Respina, P-R-E-S-E-R-P-I-N-A. P-R-E-S-E-R-P-I-N-A. And next, the Merchant's Tale, Chaucer's The Merchant's Tale, has 2 points of resemblance to A Midsummer Night's Dream. The Merchant's Tale has 2 points of resemblance of fairy characters to A Midsummer Night's Dream. Number 1, in it, hyphen, as in the play. In it means in Merchant's Tale, hyphen, as in the play. That means Midsummer Night Dream, hyphen. There is a dispute between the fairy king and queen. The fairy king and queen. That is found in both the cases in the Chaucer's The Merchant's Tale and Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. Number 2, the fairy king intervenes. The fairy king intervenes between and seeks to reconcile. And seeks to reconcile, comma, a husband and wife, just as Oberon intervening between and reconciles the lovers. Full stop. It is scarcely a rash assumption that Shakespeare read this tale. Which tale? The Merchant's Tale of Chaucer. Perhaps he was moved by or moved with the Chaucer's poem, The Merchant's Tale, and has taken the fairy characters like Oberon, Titania, or Puck. When A Midsummer Night Dream was written, Oberon, the fairy character, had not long been known in English mythology as the fairy king. Chaucer, as everybody knows, assigned that post to Pluto. Pluto, in Chaucer's literature, Pluto was the fairy king. And the title Oberon was not in English mythology, but was imported from France. You can note it down. The title Oberon, which was not found in English mythology, was imported from France, being identical with the French character Alberon, Alberon, Alberon or Auberon, Auberon, with the French character Alberon or Auberon. This term was also not an original French title, but the French had adopted it from German mythology or German origin. The French had adopted these titles, fairy characters from German mythology. So, finally, Shakespeare's Oberon, the fairy character, therefore was originally a German fairy who came into English literature or English fairy lore through a French medium. So, different characters are taken from different lands. Likewise, Shakespeare's fairy queen, Titania, was a title of the classical goddess Diana. Shakespeare's fairy queen, the character Titania, was a title of the classical goddess Diana, D-I-A-N-A, whom a popular belief of Shakespeare's time identified with the Queen of Fairies. Whom a popular belief of Shakespeare's time identified with the Queen of Fairies. In the Middle Ages, fairies were identified with the nymphs, N-Y-M-P-H-S, within comma, inverted comma, nymphs, N-Y-M-P-H-S, nymphs, and satyrs, S-A-T-Y-R-S, satyrs of classical mythology. The fairies were identified with two titles, nymphs and satyrs, which is found in the classical mythology. Similarly, another character, fairy character, Puck, P-U-C-K. Puck was not originally a proper name. It was a generic term for a fairy, as is recognized as the Icelandic Pukki. The character, fairy character Puck, might have taken from the term, Icelandic term, the character of Iceland, Pukki, P-U-K-I, or an Irish character, I-R-I-S-H, Ireland, character of Ireland, Pocca, P-O-O-C-A, Pocca, or the Welsh Proqua, character of Welsh PROCOA, Procoa. Perhaps Shakespeare might have taken the name, fairy title, Puck, P-U-C-K, Puck, from the Icelandic Puki or the Irish Puka or Welsh Procoa. These are the fairy characters entitled in different names in different countries. Apparently, Shakespeare was the first to use this general term Puck, P-U-C-K, Puck, as a proper name of the particular sprite commonly called Robin Goodfellow. Robin Goodfellow. R-O-B-I-N, Goodfellow is capital G, W-O-D-F-E-L-L-O-W. Robin Goodfellow. This spirit was conspicuous figure. This spirit was a conspicuous figure in English and German mythology. As Gervinus, G-E-R-V-I-N-U-S, Gervinus, a critic says, fairies are, inverted comma starts, as per the saying of Gervinus, G-E-R-V-I-N-U-S, Gervinus, a critic, fairies are airy and swift. Inverted comma with the, you can write airy, A-I-R-Y, airy and swift. S-W-I-F-T, swift, like the moon, like the moon, the fairies circle the earth. The fairies circle the earth. The fairies circle the earth, they avoid the sunlight. They avoid the sunlight without fearing it. And seek darkness, semicolon, and seek darkness, semicolon. They love the moon, and dance in her beams. B-A-M-S, beams, semicolon. And above all, they delight in the dusk, D-U-S-K. They delight in the dusk, opposite of dawn, evening.
Hello.
Yes?
Hello. Sir, which block, sir?
No, this is the one criticism of fairies. Definition of fairies, better to say. A critic named Gervinus, who has described the fairies like this. Airy and swift like the moon, the fairies circle the earth. They avoid the sunlight without fearing it and seek darkness. They love the moon and dance in her beams. And above all, they delight in the dusk, D-U-S-K, dusk, evening, and twilight, the very season for dreams. The very season for dreams, whether waking or sleeping. W-A-K-I-N-G, waking or sleeping. They send and bring dreams. They send and bring dreams to mortals. Mortals means human beings. To mortals, semicolon. And we need only recall to mind the description of a queen, Mab, M-A-B, capital M-A-B. The description of Queen Mab in Romeo and Juliet of Shakespeare, the play Romeo and Juliet, to discover that this is the change essentially assigned to them. essentially assigned to them. And the very means by which they influence mortals. They influence mortals. Mortals means human beings. These are the characteristics of fairies, as observed by a great critic, Gervinus. The manner in which Shakespeare has fashioned their inner characters in harmony with these outward functions is full of profound thought. When Shakespeare intends to add these characters, inner characters, in harmony in his plays, we find his profound thought. He depicts them as beings without delicate feelings and without morality. They have no delicate feelings like human beings because they are fairies. They only appear to bring a change in the play, to bring a change in the situation, in the sequence of the play. And they are the characters having no human feelings and morality. They feel no sympathy for the deep affections of the lovers, but only delight and marvel over their mistakes and their foolish activities, foolish behaviors. As it was believed by the common man in Elizabethan era that there were supernatural elements moved on earth like the fairies, witches, and goblins, and for which Shakespeare put these elements, put these characters in his place for the entertainment of his audience. Like the witches in Macbeth, the fairies in A Midsummer Night's Dream linked with the world of men. In some respects, the fairies are very much like the Athenians. They have a similar social hierarchy. They also act like the aristocrats of Athens and prove themselves as if they are equal to the aristocrats of Athens or Athenian aristocrats. Shakespeare used both the good and the bad aspects of Robin Goodfellow or Puck, the folk tales, in his dramatization of Puck, who creates a havoc among the young Athenian aristocrats with the love potion. Love potion is the magic of love juice. Use of the magic of love juice pouring into the eyes of the lovers. And Puck, who is the Fairy King Oberon's court jester, whose work is to change shape and mimic sounds to please the King Oberon and make him laugh. The fairy character Puck is a court jester of the Fairy King Oberon, who is engaged or appointed for merrymaking, to make jokes or to bring a pleasant situation in the court. Oberon represents the happier side of the fairy world and does his best to hold Puck in check. Because Puck is a very mischievous character. Always he wants to create any mischief. For instance, he scolds or rebukes Puck for his mischievous activities of pouring love juice in the eyes of Demetrius by mistake instead of Lysander. In general, however, the fairies fit in with the celebratory air of this play. A Midsummer Night's Dream and the Midsummer Festival, which was supposed to bring visions to young couple and young people. Now I will go to the dreams. The role of dream, the situation of dream, the effect of dream in the play, A Midsummer Night. Like the role of fairies, like the role of the lovers, like the situation as per the three unities of Shakespearean plays, the time, place, and action. Likewise, the dream is also an action that takes place in right place and right time. In order to make the play more romantic, Shakespeare selects the atmosphere of a forest, of a countryside, of a pastoral area, or the exhibition for the presentation of the impact of dream, the situation responsible for creation of dream in the play. The dream plays a vital role also in the Shakespearean A Midsummer Night's Dream. As the title of the play itself shows its significance, that it is a dream or a dreamy situation in a midsummer night. The play is itself a dreamy situation or atmosphere in a midsummer night, for which the play is entitled by Shakespeare as A Midsummer Night's Dream. As the title itself shows its significance, the dream of the lovers becomes successful at the end of the play, not just a dream, but the Midsummer Night's Dream. It is not just a simple dream, but it is the Midsummer Night's Dream. So what is the importance of midsummer and midsummer night, where the dream takes place? Midsummer is a festive season with many associated pre-Christian celebrations. Pre-Christian celebrations. And summer season in a cold country, European country or country like Great Britain, is a very pleasant season for merrymaking, for celebration of festivals, ceremonies, and it is a festive time with many associated pre-Christian celebrations or ceremonies. As the play suggests, if a young virgin spent the night in the forest, she would have a vision or a dream of the man she would marry. It is the feeling of young people in Europe. Of course, it was a time in European countries as well as in England when sexual games between young men and women occurred in the forests without any social restrictions and restriction of the law. Shakespeare, to bring this vision into his drama, draws the attention of the audience towards the forest where the lovers are united to keep themselves away from social restrictions and state's law. Dreams occur at two significant moments of the play. First, there is Hermia's dream that a serpent is eating her heart and she cries for Lysander's help. Hermia, while getting asleep, being present in the forest, she finds a dream that a serpent is eating her heart and she cries for Lysander's help. When she awakens and not finding Lysander there, feels that she was on dream. Why? Shakespeare has put such a dream in part of Hermia. Because in Hermia's mind, there was a fear. She was afraid of the law of Athens, as well as her father's desire that she should marry Demetrius, not Lysander, or love. So, perhaps that particular psychology in her mind might have been reflected in her dream, as if his heart means what? The symbol of love, the representation of love. Her heart is eaten by a serpent. The serpent or a snake is going to eat her heart. That means some unseen power is going to destroy her love for Lysander. And being afraid, she is crying for the help of Lysander. And all of a sudden, she awakes. And finding her in the forest without Lysander. Lysander is not present there. So, she thinks that she was in a dream. And another incident, when she awakens and not finds Lysander there, she feels that she was on dream. But practically, being influenced by Puck's magic juice, Lysander starts loving Helena instead of Hermia. The dream in the forest which intensify horrid things that otherwise hover in the air. And the effect of that dream in the forest starts ill feeling between Hermia and Helena, and they quarrel and come to blows. Fighting starts between Hermia and Helena. Though they were close friends from their childhood. The dream of the serpent eating her heart disheartened Hermia, as if she is going to lose Lysander forever. And the application of the magic juice in the eye of Lysander results in Lysander's love for Helena. And practically Helena is in love with Demetrius. But the opposite thing happens with the application of the magic juice. Another dream is the bottom's dream. Another dream is the bottom's dream. One he claims to have had when Puck's spell is lifted from him. He remembers actual events as a dream. The dream of every possibility of developing a relation with a queen by overthrowing all social barriers. As a whole, the dream in the play maintains social hierarchies. So the effect of dream in the play is great. Sometimes it dissolves the love affair between two young lovers. And also sometimes it works or unites the lovers. Both the dreams in the play consider a small part of a Freudian psychoanalysis. Freudin. According to Freudian psychoanalysis, the love changes from one to another by the spell of some magic, or by the spell of some situation, or by the spell of some happenings. And the psychology of the lovers are disturbed, are changed. He agreed that sometimes a wish that is frustrated in real life can be satisfied by an imaginary wish fulfillment that may be transformed into a dream. What we cannot achieve in the practical field, we can achieve in our dream. That the transformation of one's imaginary wish, or the fulfillment of one's imaginary wish, can be transformed into a dream, can be changed into a dream. That is the Freudian psychoanalysis. Thus, the dreams we find in the play operate cathartically. Cathartical means with emotionally upon the characters. The moonlit forest seems an obvious and fitting symbol for the creative unconsciousness, in the mind of the lovers, and feeling sleepy, they used to move in the dreamy land. having sweet dreams or having furious dreams or having some changed and changing dreams. That reflects in their psychology. Thus, keeping with the Freudian view of dreams, once the dream vision is over, when the person awakens, comes to the real life, returns to the practical field, it leaves his character with a greater perception of others and a greater insight into themselves. The characters in dream, in a sleepy condition, in a drowsy condition, when they become awakened, they feel the greater impact of that dream and try to get back or bring their own notion into a practical insight, practical activity. For the Athenian lovers, the journey into the forest takes them into a world of dreams, partly, and to the reality, partly. Because also in the forest, they enter into a dreamy land, and also in that forest, they recover from it, and at last changes, the situation changes into reality. And finally, when the application of the love juice by Bach for the second time in the eyes of Demetrius, the situation reverses, changes, and Hermia get back her love for Diana. Likewise, the dream of bottom as an ass appeals very clearly to the audience as something quite different to Titania's vision on him. And she goes back to Oberon. And this type of creation of different situation with the help of the application of dreams in the play makes it more entertaining, makes it more pleasurable, makes it more enjoyable, and also the impact of a dream makes the situation more light. When the lovers were in a serious condition, being deprived of their love in the society, in the court, in the town, in the city, they fly to the pastoral lands to seek the help of nature, like that of Wordsworth in the Romantic Age. He flies to the natural place or the woods or the pastoral land to seek the help of nature, to whom or to which atmosphere he treats as his friend, guide, and philosopher. So, in order to get solace, in order to get back their love, the lovers intends to go to a pastoral land, go back to the field of nature, like that of Wordsworth. They like to go back to the field of nature in order to get back their love, which is also the natural one. In the field of nature, they expect the nature come back to them, which is their natural love. and they are united in the forest, and again come back to the city or to the court, where they are accepted by all because they have lost their children. They have lost their children for some time, as they have fled to the forest. And again when they get back their children, they become happy and accepts their love, and the play comes to an end with a merrymaking. The wedding situation, wedding circumstances are very pleasant situation, justifying the title of the play, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Then we will go to the role of women characters, which are very important and poignant in the play, A Midsummer Night's Dream. We have gone through a lot of things of the play. The theme or the plot of the play, the time, place, and action. Now we will go to the action of women. After being discussed, after a long discussion of time and place, the situation, the sequence. Now we will see what is the role of women, the action of women in the romantic comedy, romantic play of Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Of course, we have discussed earlier the place of women in the play. Now we will see the activities or the role of women in the play. The women characters in the play, A Midsummer Night's Dream, play an important role as the center of storm. What do you mean by storm? Storm is a symbolical term used in the play around which storm the entire play revolves. And storm created in the play for the women characters. You may tell it the woman character Hippolyta, you may tell the woman character like Hermia, you may take the woman character as Helena or Titania or some other lady characters. The women characters act as the center of the storm in the beginning, started in the play. In the opening scene, but they are also chiefly responsible to bring stability at the end. They are greatly responsible to bring a happy ending in the play, at the end of the play. In the beginning of the play, it is seen instability and confusion that hovers between the characters of different demand. In the opening scene, we find Theseus, the Duke of Athens, demanding and declaring for his marriage to Hippolyta, the Queen of Amazons. But the queen Hippolyta cannot make up her mind for this marriage because he is defeated by Theseus, and Theseus's patriarchal theory of demand on Hippolyta, or mastery over Hippolyta, she cannot accept. She cannot receive the thing that Theseus as a male character should command on her, or also have some demand on her activities, on her life, because she belongs to a land where the women characters are more powerful and where there is the matriarchal type of society, authority, matriarchal authority of society, where females are powerful than the males in Amazons. And though she is defeated and taken away by Theseus to Athens, so as per the Athenian law, as per the Athenian society, the patriarchal authority of the society of patriarchal authority, she has to obey him, but she cannot make up her mind to marry Theseus. And which is also proved by our previous discussions. Even the demand of the execution of Athenian law by Aegeus, other of Hermia, the woman character, regarding his right on his daughter. When Hermia loves Lysander, but her father wants that she should marry Demetrius. The lack of enthusiasm of one woman character, Hippolyta, regarding her marriage to Theseus, the Duke of Athens, and also tries to go through the Athenian law regarding marriage. The women characters in this romantic comedy of Shakespeare are neatly woven, as the critic, Dr. Woelfel, Woellfel, Dr. Woelfel, Woellfel remarks. You can note it down. According to the critic, Dr. Woelfel, the women characters in the romantic comedy of Shakespeare are neatly woven. Inverted comma starts. This will be fully broke out. This will be fully broke out if we examine the two female characters. If we examine the two female characters, full stop, their very name gives us corroboration. Their very name gives us corroboration. For just as Hermes, capital Hermes, Hermes, comma, the messenger of the gods, comma, harmonizes heaven and earth. Harmonizes heaven and earth, and as Horace sings, Horace sings, comma, first brought gentler customs, first brought, BROUGST brought gentler customs and spiritual beauty to rude, rude, primitive men, hyphen, so the name Hermia, hints of a charm, which born in heaven, comma, outshines, outshines mere physical beauty, full stop. But since the days of Homer, and of Troy, comma, Helen has been the symbol of the charm of earthly beauty. Full stop. And it is to Lysander, comma, the poet gives Hermia, and to the earth-born Demetrius, born Demetrius, comma, Helena. Full stop, inverted comma ends. And as Dr. Wolfer feels that it is the magic creation of Shakespeare that he has chosen the characters, or taken the title of the characters as Hermia and Helena, two bona fide and legendary characters. That may create some new sensation in the mind of the readers of the text or viewer of the play. Since the women characters are not very distinctly drawn by Shakespeare, these seems to be very little to differentiate one from the other. They are mere conventional types, lacking the convincing realism of a Rosalind or Portia, the women characters of other plays of Shakespeare. They are both beautiful like two lovely berries molded in one stem. As per the Shakespearean view, they both are beautiful. Who? Hermia and Helena, both are beautiful like, inverted comma with you can write, two lovely berries molded in one stem. Two lovely berries molded in one stem. Inverted comma ends. On Helen's testimony, we have it that she is as beautiful as Hermia. Through Athens, having lived, moved, and had their being together, the two girls have similar likes and dislikes and find joy and interest in similar pursuits and pleasures. They have kept each other's counsel and shared in each other's joys and sorrows. But here, the similarity ends. From the very childhood, both of them were very close friends, sharing their happies and woes. But in the play, when they become young, when they become lovers, they fight with each other when their personal interest hampers. So this is the changing characters, changing in situation, changing in atmosphere, changing in view, changing in feeling, changing in emotion and sensation. The feelings, personal feelings, they become enemies, being so closely associated from the childhood. So this changing situation is also another quality or aspect of a romantic comedy. Without a changing situation, the comedy, romantic comedy, cannot be successful. In physical appearance, Hermia is dark, a veritable Ethiop within comma, Ethiope, and a tawny tatter, Tawny within comma, tatter, capital TAR, capital TAWNY, tawny, tatter, TAR. That means veritable Ethiop means so-called Ethiopian girl, and a tawny tatter means reddish brown Asian character. She is short in stature, a regular dwarf, a minimus within inverted comma, minimus, M-I-N-I-M-U-S. Minimus means a very short stature, short, not so long in height. A bead, B-E-A-D within comma, B-E-A-D, bead, just like a small ball in a necklace. And an acron, A-C-O-R-N. Acron means like a fruit of oak, a tiny creature, a small creature. But Helena, her bosom Helena, her bosom friend, is tall and fair, pink and white in complexion, and stands like a painted maypole within inverted comma, painted, P-A-I-N-T-E-D, capital P, painted, maypole, capital M-A-Y-P-O-L-E. Maypole means a decorated pole go round in the May day in a festival. Stands like a painted maypole, is characterized in the play as a painted maypole. In the language of Shakespeare, she is a painted maypole. Whereas Hermia is Ethiop, tawny tatter, minimus, a bead, or an acron. Nature has compensated Hermia with a very beautiful, sweet voice, musical voice that Helena lacks. When Helena says, "My tongue should catch your tongue's sweet melody," in her dialogue, she expresses, "My tongue should catch your tongue's sweet melody" while talking to Hermia. The strong and robust will of Hermia is in marked contrast to Helena's opposite to Helena's simple and docile nature. Hermia is caustic, tart in her manner, and hasty in temper. She is essentially a woman of nerve and action who can more than hold her own against others, while Helena is of a milder and softer disposition Though diminutive in size, Hermia is fierce and like a wild cat, spits and scratches. But Helena, in comparison, is a little dove with no gift at all for shrewdness. In the Shakespearean language, she is no gift at all for shrewdness. SHREWISHNESS. No gift at all for shrewdness is the character of Helena. Hermia is so strong in her mentality that she defies the law of Athens. But Helena is so timid that she is even afraid of dark or darkness. Even when in the forest, Hermia loses her Leander by the ill magic power of Puck. She flies into such terrible passion that she wants to do injury to Helena. And in her dialogue, Shakespeare has put, I am not yet so low, within inverted comma, I am not yet so low, but that my nails can reach unto thine eyes. She speaks to Helena. Hermia speaks to Helena. I am not yet so low. I am not so low qualified, but that my nails can reach unto thine eyes. But she was ready to fight with Helena to get back her love, to get back Leander. It reveals the spiteful and coarse nature of Hermia. Helena's reproaches of Hermia for lack of modest, maiden shame and bashfulness in the language of Shakespeare. Helena's reproaches of Hermia for lack of modest, maiden shame, shame, and bashfulness, BASSFULNESS, bashful, are really the genuine outcome of a highly sensitive and modest nature of Helena. Anyway, finally both become successful to gain over their lovers, Hermia to Leander and Helena to Demetrius. Both of them learn how to get rid of their love and marry their men they love. Also, another fairy woman character, Titania, learns to relinquish what she loves, the Indian boy, to elicit once again tenderness and love for her husband. For her husband. This wisdom expresses itself as the rejoicing at the end of the play. The rules of romantic comedy. The rules of romantic comedy demand such ideals to be elaborated at the end of the drama, A Midsummer Night's Dream. This is all about the Roman characters, the dream, and the fairies of the famous romantic comedy of Sir William Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. That's all. Thank you. Now we have no time to discuss about the questions and all other aspects because the British drama, the Elizabethan drama from Marlowe to Shakespeare is a vast course and in a very short time we had to complete it. Of course, we have left so many things to be discussed because it's not possible to take all the resources to our discussion within a very short time, within a very limited 8 classes only. It will take more than 20 classes if we will discuss in details about the British drama, especially the British drama flourishing in Elizabethan period, or the English drama or British drama reaches in its heights during this period. After that also, we find the development of British drama in some modern times during the time of Eliot, P.S. Eliot and other modern poets. Still then, the beginning is also the beginning of English drama during Elizabethan period is also very important and also has reached in its height, in its peak in the history of world literature. That's all. Thank you.